So COVID has brought about many challenges that the world has never seen before. The economy is showing signs of a nosedive, and it's especially difficult for those about to graduate because there are doubts have begun to grow. So through this webinar series, Rotaract SZABIST aims to achieve one of its major mission of fellowship and skill development. So we can bring experts from the field to help graduates understand how they can counter this COVID, the changes that COVID will bring, and how they can improve their skills to exponentially grow their careers and their skills. So, Assalamu alaikum, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'll just quickly talk about myself and my experience so far. First of all, it's a wonderful initiative that the Rotaract team has taken. And I think this will help the graduates, the fresh graduates, a lot in terms of understanding the dynamics of the industry at the moment. And glad to be part of it. And my name is Elia, and I work at Standard Chartered as HR business partner. So I graduated from SZABIST. I did my bachelor's and master's from SZABIST only. So a proud alumni. And from there on, I started working at a consultancy by the name of Accelerate. It was a small setup, so we'll come to that. What are the benefits of working at a small setup? So I worked there for 2 years and then joined Price Solution, which is a wholly owned group company of Standard Chartered. And from there on, I moved to Standard Chartered. So I look after the portfolio entails corporate banking, commercial banking, support functions. Support functions include legal, compliance, finance, audit. I don't look after HR. So, and that's about it, I guess, my brief of my career.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have SZABIST alumni with us for this activity because it's from SZABIST for SZABIST. So we hope this will be a great opportunity for our soon-to-be graduates. So today we'll be talking about HR, as you've said. So since I'd like to start off the question by, I guess, what's on everyone's mind. Since we are facing this pandemic and jobs will change as a result of this, so what do you think are the top skills that will be in demand for the future and our soon-to-be graduates?
All right. So I think, yes, it's a challenging time for fresh graduates. We all understand that, and organizations are working towards that. But I think there's an opportunity for you guys, especially the young graduates, to enter into the market at this point in time and where the world is changing. Honestly, this is the new normal. It used to be different when we joined and people who joined before us. So jobs change with time. It's just that it has been expedited, I think. So you spoke about the future skills and demand and competencies. So it's a very broad topic, honestly, and it differs from industry to industry. It doesn't have a one-size-fits-all solution. So, but there are some common skills, I think, that the university graduates have to consider and attain that skill or competency. So we'll break it down into two broad categories. One is the interpersonal skills, or more commonly we call it soft skills, right? So soft skills, I think interpersonal skills is very important in terms of building that persona or the attitude towards work. So one important is ability to learn faster. So we know for a fact that millennials or the young talent have that ability, and they are able to grasp things quicker than let's say the old ones, or ones who are in the later stage of their career. So that is one very important piece, that if you have that skill and if you're able to learn things quickly and grasp it very quickly, I think you will do wonders. Second is basically since we're into a phase where virtual remote working will be very common now. So I think collaboration across cultures with effective virtual working is very important. So people have to build that in them, and to be able to succeed in their careers. The third is, honestly, it's the influencing skills. So you should be able to learn quickly. One, next we have to be able to sell ourselves. We have to be able to influence or put our message across or share our ideas in a way that the organization sees our potential. So these interpersonal skills are very important, and other amongst these are just a few. Obviously there are a lot of others, but uh, I think for me, being able to learn and continuous learning is very important. So we have to build that habit amongst ourselves. Secondly, if you talk about the technical skills, yes, that is very broad category, and differs from industry to industry and role to role. But the common ones are being able to work with data. Data and analytics is the next big thing, and we've seen that organizations who have data and who have the ability to take decisions through that data have grown exponentially. So data and analytics, nobody expects you honestly to be a data scientist or anything, but you should be able to have a comfort and be confident to use data in your roles. So that is an important piece. Second is having the digital awareness. So having digital awareness is very important. The use of technology and how to effectively use that technology is very important. We talk about, uh, let's say, analytics tools like, for example, if you're talking about university graduates, they work on MS Office a lot, right? So having that expertise in that is very important. You should be very quick at MS Excel, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint. You should be able to make pretty presentations, and you should be able to convey your message through that very easily. Then the third one is having an agile mindset. That is the key to success these days. So agility, not in terms of having that flexible options only, being able to work flexibly, but to learn from your mistakes. So agile mindset is all about learning from your mistakes, collaborating with each other, and working in teams to in a way achieve a common goal. I think that is very important. So for me, these skills are very important nowadays, and going forward things will change, and have to uh, you will have to adapt to it, honestly.
And would you say it's a combination of both of these technical aspects and the soft skills, and that in this competitive market, you cannot survive with just one side of the equation?
Absolutely. I think a combination of both is really important. You should be able to work in teams. So that is having an agile mindset, as well as interpersonal skills we can talk about. You should be able to collaborate with each other. So working in teams is very important. And if you're good at something, if you're good at something technical, you need to be equally good at your interpersonal skills as well, because you can be a perfectionist in terms of technical expertise. You can be high on that proficiency level, but for you to be able to succeed in your career, you need to have that interpersonal skills. You need to be able to influence others. You need to be able to communicate well. You need to be able to learn faster in it. Things like that. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So, uh, moving into the job market after this pandemic as a new graduate, what approach would you suggest for these new graduates? How should they be entering this market?
So there are a few things that, yes, it's a difficult time to enter into a market where people are losing jobs, the operations are shrinking, but jobs change, like we talked about. Jobs continuously change, and we've seen over the past that some jobs have become redundant, and now it has been taken over by, let's say, artificial intelligence and robotics and everything. So these things change, and we have to adapt to it very quickly. And how do we adapt to it? We need to learn quickly. We need to grow our skill set. We need to build that future skill that we talk about. So amongst ourselves, so we need to work on that a lot. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
So I think there's a growing fear amongst new graduates that there will be fewer jobs for them as companies make more employees redundant and as in fact companies shut down. So what are the possible avenues that we can look into to maybe enhance our marketability, as one would say?
So, like I said, industry to industry, there are specific skills that vary, right? So you need to do your research first to increase your market. You need to know what's going on in the industry. You need to, you should be able to grow your professional network. We'll come to that later, how to go about that. But you should be able to uh, ask for help, right? You should be able to improve your interpersonal skills. So continuous learning is the key to success, and increasing your marketability will be through that only. When you know things, when you know what is in demand, and you have that specific skill set, you will be successful. Sooner or later, yes, there might be a period of unemployment from when you graduate till the time you get an opportunity. But we have to use that time, honestly. We have to continuously learn. We have to work towards building that skill set amongst ourselves. And that is the only way we're going to gain that edge.
And even before this pandemic, and that's
Yeah.
something that has happened to me as well, that we've applied to multiple places and we do not get a call back, email back. So how can graduates stay confident and optimistic that something will happen? They will get their pay.
So there's no secret recipe to success, honestly. We have to work towards our goal. And if needed, let's say if this pandemic wouldn't have happened, we would be in a normal environment. But unfortunately, this has happened. So we need to uh, fast expedite that, right? So we need to review and reassess our goals. So yes, there is a possibility that some of us might have been working, aspiring to go for, let's say, retail sector, stores, and maybe working brands in different malls, right? So this, we might need to assess that again. We need to regain that perspective that it is important that we stay relevant to the market, right? So being confident, optimistic, yes, if you have that skill in you, you should be optimistic. You shouldn't worry about anything else. I think organizations would want young talent who are just entering into the market because they have that ability to learn quickly and adapt to that change. So entering into the new normal is you guys won't have to adjust to anything because you're just starting your career. It's people like us who have to uh, adjust our routines. We have to, let's say, we used to go to work, we used to get up early, we used to dress up, we used to meet our colleagues every day. So obviously, we miss that, right? But you guys will be starting off fresh with no experience of that kind. So I think it is an opportunity for you guys to develop that routine and be able to manage that. So staying confident and optimistic, it's up, obviously it's up to the individual, but the key tips are to focus on what you can control, right? You cannot control the pandemic or when the old ways of working will be back, but you can adapt to it, right? You can stay focused, you can build your skill, you can so one important thing I want to talk about is so we worry a lot about starting to earn quickly right after we graduate. So I think that is something that we need to relook at. And yes, money is important for all of us, for us to survive. But I think you guys have that luxury to start at a time where your parents are supporting you. You have a house to live in, you have a responsibility. I hope none of you are married right now because it's too young. So I think that is important. So financially, yes, we aspire for a few things, but once we get into the market by having that relevant expertise, money will follow. Honestly, money comes with the role. It doesn't, and nobody. If you have the potential to grow, you will grow. It's just that you need to stay focused and try to achieve your goals. So another thing that I want to talk about is uh, so we talk a lot about, since we have time on our side, because once you graduate till the time, hopefully that will be soon, that you will get an opportunity. Use that time wisely. So let's say if you're focused, if you're planning to develop your career in digital marketing, so you need to learn about digital marketing. So there are a lot of certifications. Let's say Google Analytics, it's a wonderful tool, and most digital marketing professionals use that. So it would be good on your part to gain that competitive edge if you have that relevant certification. Similarly, if we talk about if uh, you guys want to join fintechs, so how are the fintechs operating? What is read about it? What is fintech all about? So some related topics would be blockchain, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence. So learn about that. So that will give you that competitive edge from other graduates who, because there are a lot of graduates that will be entering into the market. So let's say if there are 1,000 graduates, there will be 500 jobs. So how to get into that 500 is important. So how you will do that is by getting that relevant skill on your side.
So we talked about starting salary, and you mentioned the retail space as well, getting into the retail space. So do you think that, I mean, graduates will have to face the challenge of short-term work. How how should they deal with that challenge? Maybe working in a job that isn't necessarily our passion or doesn't match our expectations. How to go about that?
So I'll give you my example. I started off with a consultancy. It was a very small setup, but the clients we had were one of the few leading in the industry, let's say in banking, in healthcare, and other FMCGs. So starting at a small company at a low salary doesn't do any harm, but it has all the benefits because you get to learn, that you get that exposure and experience that you wouldn't otherwise get from by working at a multinational or a large setup, because teams are larger, and you are required to do only what you are hired to do, right? So starting at a small setup, it gives you exposure. You get to work on a lot of different things. You might be doing finance if you're working. Let's say I was working in an HR consultancy. I used to do financials as well. I used to do admin work as well. So I used to manage meetings, manage trainings. So talking to vendors and stuff like that. So that helps you learn a lot. So that in a way, I think it's a brilliant thing to start off your career with, if you can work for a startup, or if you have aspirations to work at a multinational. That's wonderful as well. That gives you another type of exposure. It gives you cross-cultural experience of collaborating amongst different teams, a huge workforce. So everything has its pros and cons. So you shouldn't be worried about starting at a lower salary or getting into a small setup. So I think that this is important. And honestly, we catch up on the money piece. We can see chartered accountants who once they complete their chartered accountancy, they have to do their articleship. So we all know how less that pays, and once they complete their articleship, their market value grows exponentially, honestly, and people look up to them like, yes, this is what I should have done. So money follows with the role.
So, shifting a bit to what's happening right now, remote working is, I wouldn't say popular, it is the need right now. So it's what everyone is doing. So, how are you adjusting to remote working? And what tips can you share for our soon to be graduates to embed smoothly into that working environment?
Okay, yes, you rightly pointed out, remote working is the new normal, and it will become a necessity going forward. Organizations that have adjusted to it so far have been able to absorb that damage in terms of their financial performance. So I think remote working is the new normal. We need to uh, cope up with that. And for us, working at a multinational, I think it wasn't that difficult, because Standard Chartered provides you that leverage. We used to have flexible options. We used to have flexible working arrangements, as well as working from home arrangements for ourselves before the pandemic as well. So yes, we were able to manage that piece very quickly, and things haven't really bothered us so much. But I think adjusting to that is very important. You should The organizations are heavily investing in infrastructure, technological advancements. So we have seen that Zoom that we're using right now was not very common back then, right? So just all of a sudden it has become a necessity. It is a tool to communicate for organizations. So there are similar softwares as well that organizations are opting for. Uh, that to help the employees cope up with that working environment, and to keep things at a normal pace. So some tips that I think have worked for me, right? So you need to have a routine. Honestly, you should not be lazy. You should have a routine. You should wake up early, like you normally do. It's just that uh, you are not commuting to work. So otherwise, it has stayed the same for myself, at least. So following that routine is important. You need to have regular breaks like you used to do. We used to have a chat with our colleagues. We used to have meetings, different meetings. We used to have lunch breaks. So we need to continue doing that too, because that keeps us going. And that is very important, I think. So second is you need to know when you have to turn off from work. It doesn't have to be like you're working throughout the day without any breaks, or you're not giving time to your family or friends. Yes, we are not engaging with our friends so much like we used to, but once this is over, and hopefully it will be soon, we need to uh, we will be working in the same capacity. Like, we will be working from home. There will be reduced capacity at offices, and more offices will switch to remote working arrangement. So we need to follow that routine, one, and to be able to know when to put a pause to it. Because when you are at home, you are expected to be available, even at night, even at and late night or anything. So you need to put a pause to it. You need to follow start time and work time, and after that you need to give time to your family as well as your friends, and follow the normal uh, leisure activities that you used to do. So you can continue to go play football, you can play PlayStation with your friends, you can hang out with your friends once this uh, lockdown is over. So hopefully it will be. Another thing is being flexible with our approach. So we need to understand that our friends, or when you guys start working, your colleagues will have different situations at home. So we need to be understanding enough, and we need to be very flexible with our approach, that we give them that comfort that if they're working from home, they should be able to spend time with their family. So being flexible and having that empathy towards each other is important. So this has worked for me, I guess, and every individual is different. You can start by doing this, and there are things that might work for you, and you can continue to share that with your friends or colleagues that this is working for you. You should probably try this out as well. So staying connected is important as well. So
That's interesting. Yeah.
sharing information, yeah.
Hopefully, we can embed into that environment. So, would you say that for some time in the near future there will be online job interviews? Currently, even now, the recruitment process has been maybe paused, if not completely stopped.
Hmm.
How can we practice for these online interviews, and how can we, maybe you can give us some tips to ace them?
So, virtual interviewing and online interviews will be the way forward, if you ask me. And organizations have moved towards that. Yes, some organizations have put a hiring freeze, and yes, there are jobs being lost, but this will end soon, hopefully, and we will be back to normal, and organizations will continue to hire. So I think it is important that we build that habit amongst us, within ourselves, and start preparing for that new normal. So virtual interviewing, it will be the same. It's just that you will be speaking, or you will be having a conversation over a video. So the questions will remain the same. It's just that you will be assessed on the new skills now, and not the old ways of working. So once you have that, you should be confident. Secondly, how can you improve your interviewing skills? There are a few things that you need to follow. Once you apply for a role, you need to understand what the company does. So by understanding, I over preparing works for me. It might not work for others, but I think you should know enough information about the organization, their financials, their management, their organization structure, maybe the culture, if you can find out about that through your friends who are working at different places. So knowing what the company does is important. Sorry, I just saw that there are a few questions. I'll respond to that, Sarah. So knowing what the company does is important. Knowing what the job entails. So once you apply for a job, don't just look at the title. Uh, Titles continue to change. There are analyst roles or there are officer roles that might sound not very attractive to you, but once you go through that, the job description, you should be able to understand what it's really about, and if it meets your aspiration and what you want to build your career in, go for it. So read about it and prepare relevant examples. So how do you do that? You guys probably most of you don't have working experience, so how do you come up with examples? So you guys have worked on different projects throughout your bachelor's, and it is important to talk about those projects because that is the way the interviewer assesses you on your different skills. If how good are you at problem solving, how good are you at analytics, how good are you at working in different teams. So being able to respond to that is important. So quote examples, quote different projects that you've done, different experiences you've had, know what's going on in the industry, read about it. So there are a lot, you have access to every news these days, be it mergers, acquisitions, new product launches, new product development, technological changes. So we have enough information available to us. So it's just that we need to pick and choose the relevant information and be able to have that conversation with the interviewer. And honestly, if you ask me, the initial phase of the interview is very important. When you set that impression, when you set the tone of the interview, you'll probably be asked about yourself. So start with that. You should have an answer for that. uh, Prepare for that, have a good answer prepared for that, and then move on towards your strong points. So take the interviewer to your strong points. That should be the key. And that will help you because if you do that, you will be confident in your answers. And once you're confident, you should be able to ace the interview. And don't worry about the tough questions, one-off questions that the interviewer asks, which you haven't prepared for. Just be confident and answer it to the best of your knowledge. That's important.
One more question I'd like to ask before we move on to more questions. Since now social media presence will be heavily counted, do you how do you think we can harness our LinkedIn to improve our job? What can we do better?
Okay, so LinkedIn has become always was and now more than ever has become an important tool to for especially for young graduates to look up for opportunities and be able to connect with the professional world. Honestly, so first of all, we need to have an attractive profile. Right, so that is very important. So build your profile. There is no perfect profile, so you need to see what you uh, you need to see what you are able to do on that. What I can suggest is look up on different graduates from top universities who have recently graduates and who have just started their careers. That can be from local top universities as well as from different universities abroad. So see, let's say if you have done finance, majored in finance, so you need to see what the finance professionals or finance graduates, how their profile looks like. So because in Pakistan, honestly, we do not have that structured profiles. Yes, we there are individuals who train or who are able to guide you to build your LinkedIn profile, but it's not very common for us in Pakistan. So in different markets, in different countries, developed markets, we see a lot of focus on LinkedIn. And there are organizations who have presence on social media, and they use that tool very effectively. So it's important to have that profile ready. Secondly, what we need to do is we need to connect with professionals, right? So not just send them a connection request, but to be able to interact with them. Yes, you can connect with them and send them a note saying thank you for connecting and things like that, but that honestly doesn't really help. They get 15 or 20 odd requests similar to that and similar messages like that. So you need to do something different. And what you can do is ask them for help. Nobody says no to you if you ask for help. So we are in that time that professionals are there to help you. And once you interact with them, once you ask them for guidance, if you ask them relevant questions. So let's say that you have read about something, an industry practice or an initiative that an organization has taken. So, and you aspire to work for that organization. So what you can do is you can look up professionals or employees from that specific company and connect with them and ask them and give them feedback or ask questions about what's it about, how can, how, what value addition would this initiative have in the local industry or on their workforce. So you need to be able to do that, and you need to you might struggle at first, but once you get a hang of it, it is not that difficult, honestly. uh, and honestly, if you send anyone a connection request who is active on LinkedIn, they will accept your request. There is uh, high possibility of that. Nobody rejects a connection request because people want to grow their network, professional network, and be able to connect with each other. So that is very important. You need to. So if you're looking for a specific role, or you're looking to join a specific company, you need to connect with their employees, right? So let's say if you want to uh, connect with somebody at multinational in the FMCG industry, so connect with their professionals, can ask them for help, know what's going on, and secondly, you need to have a cross-functional professional network. It's not only it doesn't have to be only HR. It doesn't have to be only finance or marketing or any specific area of field, but it should be cross-functional. How does that help? Uh, that you get to uh, know about, let's say, the best practices. So what's happening uh, in the HR front of an organization, you should be able to. That will honestly help you a lot in your interviews as well, and when you interact with different professionals. So that you need to know stuff about organizations, about the industry, about different technological advancements. So coming back to that point that we discussed, that you need to know stuff, you need to read blogs and articles, read news. So just to gain that knowledge and be able to have a conversation, have a good conversation with uh, somebody who's already part of the industry. So that is, I think, very important for you guys when you enter into the market. Most of the companies use LinkedIn as a tool to post their jobs, and some organizations don't. So it's not just LinkedIn that you have to use. You have to look up on career portals as well. Different organizations post different open vacancies on their career portal, so which probably is not on LinkedIn, but you'll be able to find that on the career portal. So getting to interact with them and applying through someone always help. So if you apply online on LinkedIn, let's say, you're part of a huge pool. Let's say 200 people have applied for that role. So the chances of you getting to that interview stage is, yes, it can happen, but you can increase your chances, is what I'm saying. How do you do that? To be able to connect with people from that company, or maybe the recruiter, because a lot of posts on LinkedIn, job roles that are posted on LinkedIn, have a recruiter. There's that is mentioned on that job. So connect with the recruiter directly, and you should be able to sell yourself. Honestly, you should be able to get to that stage where they see your potential, and they call you for an interview at least. And getting to that interview is very important. The rest follows, honestly. Most of the companies screen profiles, and if they find, let's say, if you don't if you have that comparative edge, let's say if you're a finance professional and you've done CFA, that gives you that comparative edge. So you'll be part of that initial screening list. You'll be the few chosen ones, I would say. Second, if let's say you're interested in digital marketing, if you have that Google Analytics certification, or if you're into fintechs and you have done some online learnings or online courses for relevant to that area, that will give you that competitive edge. So have that profile, work on that profile. So you don't need to have a very long profile or CV, resume in your cases. So one pager would be enough, but it should contain that information, and you need to change your resumes according to the role. So if you're applying for, let's say, an analyst, or an assistant manager, assistant brand manager, let's say, so that profile will be different from if from a role that, let's say, you're applying for a digital marketing role or maybe something else. So you need to tweak your profile accordingly and be able so you're able to get into that initial pool, shortlisted pool. And once you're in the interview, that is absolutely how you perform there. They need to see your potential. They need to you need to be likable, I would say. Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm on mute.
That's very insightful. Which departments do you think are most likely to take a hit after this pandemic?
So, business graduates, honestly, I don't think that they will suffer a lot, because we end up at support functions or frontline teams, right? So let's say if you are, uh, first of all, I don't understand why the recent graduates are not inclined towards banking sales, because they would opt for FMCG sales and go out in the market and sell their products, but they're not ready to sell banking products in. sitting in a branch. So that's a more comfortable uh, role, I would say. So I think you should have your options open. You don't need to restrict yourself to one specific job, because that will reduce your chances of securing a role in the industry. So you need to be very open. You need to explore what's best for you, and there's no. So you might get a role what you were aspiring and might not like it. Early in our careers, we need to explore what's best for us and what our passion is and what we're good at. So we need to switch roles. I'm not saying you need to be a job hopper or anything of that sort. You need to show your loyalties. I'm all up for that, but you need to try out different roles to be able to get a hang of what's best for you. So yeah.
So,
Sorry, did I answer your question?
yes, that previous question was sent in by our Rotaract member, Emmer.
Yeah.
Another question I have from Sarah is, how are organizations working on engagement within this remote working system? How are they ensuring that an employee is connected, and that obviously we won't have that sort of effectiveness as working face to face in an office, but how are organizations ensuring that at least the work is being churned out like it should?
Okay, so I'll link it with productivity as well, because engagement and productivity go hand in hand. So it's very important to engage with your employees at this point in time, because it's difficult for everyone, and organizations are trying to equip their employees to be able to connect with their colleagues and live a normal life. How they're doing that is through their equipping them, they're providing them the infrastructure in terms of technological advancements, like there are official video conferencing facilities. A lot of companies who have that infrastructure are providing phone calling facilities from their laptops, so people are able to work like they used to do. So it's important at this time to have a productive workforce, have an engaged workforce, and line managers honestly play uh, a great role in this. And organization, the top management might not be able to reach their workforce every day. Yes, they are doing town halls, virtual town halls, and everything. But it is important for the line manager to engage with their teams. So they are having, let's say, before Ramzan, some organization used to do virtual Friday lunch hours, so just to give that feeling to the employee that you are valued, you are still part of the team, and we are in this together. So that is important. So line manager honestly plays a great role, and it drives from the leadership, honestly.
So, rounding off the questions here, we have one from Avinash. Do you think more and more candidates will opt for entrepreneurship due to these changing environments?
Yeah, so I think entrepreneurship is, yes, we all encourage young entrepreneurs to start up something of their own. And it's encouraged throughout the industry, but you need to have an idea first. So once you have an idea that serves your clients, if you're, let's say, if you are serving the business clients, so you need to have that idea, and you need to be able to grasp that opportunity, because this pandemic has opened up. Yes, it has made jobs redundant, and people are getting unemployed, but with that there is an opportunity, honestly, to start up things of your own, and serve the clients in a way that they're able to increase their performance, financial performance, or maybe if you're starting something, let's say online, you should be able to provide that service through that tool. Use it very effectively, honestly. So you need to be able to find the right idea and to be able to serve your clients better, because that will help you succeed only. Because and startups, yes, they take a lot of time, and but you need to stay committed to that startup, and you need to uh, have a goal in mind, and chalk it out if you have to, but and try to achieve that goal where you want to take that startup, let's say in the next 4 to 5 years. So yes, entrepreneurship at this point in time is a great idea. And with that, I think uh, because the job market has shrunk, uh, people should also look at the possibility of doing their masters and going for further education, because that not only will buy them time and be able to enter the market at the right time, but they'll also have that qualification with them. So which is masters always in demand, right? So have that certification, masters, do you complete your further education, and things like that will work.
So that was fascinating. Those are the questions from my side. It was absolutely fascinating to hear your insights, your thoughts from an industry leader like yourself. So, an industry expert like yourself. So that was it from our side. If you'd like to add anything.
Sure. So thank you very much to the Rotaract team. It was wonderful, and it was a great experience for me as well, interacting with students. And I hope I was able to add some value and provide some clarity to you guys and how to go about your careers. And I will be looking forward to other industry experts as well who will be speaking on your platform. And thank you very much. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to be part of it.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you very much.
it would have been an even bigger honor to have you at 90 Auditorium. I'm sure you have very
Absolutely.
fond memories of that place as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. 6 years of SZABIST.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much,
This
and
is
look forward to speaking with you again.